Hi everyone, and welcome to my time-lapse version of this gorgeous collie dog in soft pastel. I hope that you enjoy this speeded up version here. If you'd like to see more in-depth real-time tutorials, then check me out on my Patreon channel. I'll add links in the description below. But if you enjoy this here, then I hope that you'll subscribe here on YouTube. This portrait was done from an older photograph. I had some work to do with the composition and a little bit to add using artistic license. But what I really liked was the unusual viewpoint of the dog. We're slightly looking down on the dog, which doesn't always work out well. But what makes this one work, I think, is that lovely pattern that the tiles create. And the fact that those tiles add some lovely perspective to the piece. So it was really the tiles that attracted me to this composition, as well as, of course, the gorgeous expression on the dog's face. So on my Patreon channel, I will go into detail on these tiles because it's not the first time I've had to paint tiles in a pet portrait. As you can imagine, dogs do tend to hang out in the kitchen a lot of the time. So I have definitely painted quite a few kitchen tiles in my pet portraits over the years. So that's something that my patrons are asking to see in more detail. And I think this one in particular will make a great tutorial on painting tiles. It's something that I love to do, and I think it adds so much to a composition, some interesting pattern, and in this case, the warm tones within the tiles were all going to get repeated within the colours of the dog. So it was also going to bring a lot of colour harmony to the piece overall. And of course, those lovely grey and blue-violet tones within the tiles, you'll also see those repeated within the dark parts of the fur as well. So all of the colours in the tiles getting repeated on the dog, and that's something that I do a lot of, trying to tie in the colours in the background into the main subject. And you're always trying to create that colour harmony within your work. So as I said at the beginning of the video, if you're interested in seeing the real-time footage from this, and hearing in depth my techniques and how I went about this piece, then do check me out on my Patreon channel. You'll already find a huge list of dog tutorials there if that's something you're interested in painting, but also lots of different subject matters, different types of animals, people portraits, a little bit of landscape. I enjoy painting all sorts of different subject matters. But I make a start on the dog's face, and although the collie is predominantly black and white with a few little tan patches, there's a huge amount of colour within both the black sections and the white parts of the dog. So it's never as straightforward as just black and white. You can see here that I'm using a range of blue-violet tones, warm, rich purples, also some brown earths throughout just the black parts alone. So that's something that I try to teach as well in my tutorials, to help you look for extra colours and to bring out more colour in a photo reference even when you can't see it in the photo. So lots of colour going in on the face. Always looking for the direction of the light. In this case, we've got the light coming from the left side of the dog, and that makes everything on the left side of the face that bit brighter. And then I've got to remember that everything over on the right side of the face is much more in the shadows, and to adjust my colour choices to reflect that. And I was sent a range of photographs of Mo the Wicklow Collie. This is a type of collie that I haven't painted before. I'm presuming that they're found mostly in Ireland. And they do look quite similar to the Australian Shepherds, and of course to the Border Collie as well. She's definitely got that typical collie expression in her eyes. And although the photo reference wasn't the clearest photo reference ever, I could see so much soft expression in her eyes. It really was one of those times that, although the photo isn't the best, you can see a huge amount of potential in the photograph, and you know that what you can create will be better than the photo reference. And that to me always makes a job worthwhile. If I know that I can make something memorable of the dog that surpasses the photo reference that the client already has, then that really makes my job worthwhile. And this piece was actually a surprise gift. And I always love to create those, and I hope that the surprise is always well received. And I hope that the recipients of this enjoy seeing their portrait come together now that it has been gifted. So I am using little bits of pastel pencil. I use a lot of Faber-Castell pit pencils with a General's pencil for my white. I'll add links in my description though to where you can have a look at all the materials that I use and where you can purchase them from. But the main tool that I'm using here are my trusty Unison soft pastels. I absolutely love these pastels. If you've seen any of my work before, you'll know that I use a lot of Unisons in all of my work. And for this piece, I made use of my animal selection of colours. I added a couple of other colours in, but the majority of these colours exist in my Animal 36 Unison set. And that's a selection of colours that I put together for Unison, specifically for painting animals. And sometimes, even though I've got lots of other colours in my range, sometimes I just love to get that animal set out, limit my palette a little bit, but you can see just how many different colours have gone into this piece, and most of these exist in that set. So many different types of animal portraits I can create from that one set of 36 colours. And despite having a really big collection of pastels these days, I do still love to pick up my animal set from time to time. So I'm looking forward to sharing this one as a full-length tutorial. I think there's lots I can talk about here in terms of how I improved the composition from the photo reference, how I've gone about creating colour harmony between the background and the dog, all the lovely textures and the direction of the fur, building up those layers gradually. There's definitely lots that I can share from this one piece. Not to mention those lovely tiles that create such a nice composition and pattern and perspective in the background. Something that I love to include in my work. I think it tells a lot of the story of where the animal lived, where they like to hang out. And I always hope that my backgrounds will add that little bit more to a pet portrait. But I hope that you've enjoyed seeing this speeded up version. Me working at 1,000,000 miles an hour, if only it was that fast in reality. And if you're interested, please do check out the links in my description for my Patreon channel, where you can learn lots from me in real time. You can also check out my website tutorials library at emmacolbertart.com. There you can see the full range of tutorials that I have on offer before signing up. But again, please do subscribe to me here on YouTube, as all of that support really helps me. Thanks very much for watching here, and until next time, happy pasteling.